Hello, my name is Derek Atkins, and this is an introduction to the syllabus for the course TS460, Worldview and Biblical Decision Making at the East Asia School of Theology. In this video, I'm going to walk you through your syllabus to highlight some things that I think you need to take note of. I want to encourage you to read the entire syllabus, but in this video, I'm going to highlight some of the important points. So let's begin. The first thing I want to do is I want to tell you where you can find this syllabus online. You can find this syllabus online at Populi. Go into your Populi account, you will find a heading list that says My Courses. Click on My Courses, and then when it lists all the courses that you are taking at East, click on the course TS460, Worldview and Biblical Decision Making. Then it will take you to a page where you will see a sidebar that lists some different options. One of these options is the options that says Syllabus. So click on Syllabus, and then that will take you to this syllabus. So that is how you can find this syllabus online. So let's go through this syllabus together. So this is the course TS460, Worldview and Biblical Decision Making. This is a 2-credit hour course. It is it will be held at the East Campus in Singapore. This is for the fall semester of the 2024-25 academic year, and I want you to take note of the meeting day and times. We will meet on Wednesdays from 9 to 10 on campus in Singapore, plus an additional optional hour until 11 a.m. And I will talk a little bit more about this later on. Next, we have listed your instructors. You have 2 instructors in this course. My name is Derek Atkins. I have a Master of Theology. My email address is derecatkins@east.edu.sg. My phone number is 9240-2873. Your other instructor is Lewis Winkler, who has a PhD. His email address is lewis@east.edu.sg, and his phone number is 8606-9039. The next section is a brief description of this course and what it intends to accomplish. So please take some time to read this course description. Then we have a section talking about the purpose of this course. And this section helps to connect this course purpose with East's larger mission. Then we have a section talking about student learning outcomes. So here at East, we talk about the head, the heart, and the hand. And so in our student learning outcomes, we emphasize each of these 3 areas. Only we don't call them head, heart, and hand in the syllabus. Instead, we call them knowledge or know, which is the head, values and belief, or B, which is the heart, and behavior and skill, which is, or do, which is the hands. So please take a note of these learning outcomes, because this is what we expect you to be able to know. This is what we expect you to kind of have in your heart, and this is what we expect you to be able to do at the end of this course. We have 2 textbooks in this course that are required. The first one is Transforming Worldview, an anthropological understanding of how people change by Paul Hebert. And the second required textbook is Choosing the Good, Christian Ethics in a Complex World by Dennis Hollinger. So these are your two textbooks. There is another textbook that is highly recommended, but is not required, and that is Living at the Crossroads, An Introduction to Christian Worldview by Michael Goheen and Craig Bartholomew. Please note that besides the normal avenues of obtaining Christian books and East Physical Library in Singapore, both of these texts are also available to read and or download through the Digital Theological Library, or DTL, to which all East program students have free access. This is also known as, you can also see the DTL's email at website address here, okay? Also note, however, that DTL books are accessible by program and credit students only during your time at East. Thus, it is highly recommended that you obtain your own copies for your later life and future ministry. So, for example, I have a Kindle app in my phone, and I have downloaded these textbooks into my Kindle app. This means I have these textbooks with me at all times. And so if you have a Kindle app or something similar to that, then I highly recommend that you go ahead and buy that book and download it into your app. If you do not have a Kindle app or a similar app, then I highly recommend that you go ahead and buy a hard copy of these textbooks. That way, you will have these textbooks available to you even after you leave East, so that you can use them for your life and your future ministry. Okay, so those are the textbooks that are required in this course. Now, let's look at the learning task and time allocations for this course. For this course, you have 6 learning tasks, and we have designed these learning tasks to help you to get the most out of this course. So I'm going to spend some time going over each of these learning tasks so that you will know what you are required to do and what you need to do to complete each of these learning tasks. So the first learning task is textbook readings, and you will be required to read 346 pages. So if you read an average of 15 pages per hour, this should work out to about 23 hours. You will read assigned sections in both the required textbooks and keep track of your reading using a reading report, which is available on Populi and is due on November the 8th. And you will do this to show if you have read the assigned chapters and whether they were read on time. On time means that they were read carefully and thoughtfully prior to the class session for which they were assigned. Reading the chapters late received half credit for that assignment. Failing to read the assignment received no credit for that reading. While it might be tempting in the midst of our busy lives to merely skim or read the textbooks as quickly as possible rather than thoughtfully and carefully, I am encouraging you to see the readings as an opportunity to further expand your learning experiences and engage your heart and your mind with the subject matter. As such, they have been chosen for the purpose of both enhancing and significantly supplementing what is covered in the class connection times. So that's your first learning task. your textbook readings. Your second learning task are the video lectures for this course. And these will take a total of about 11 hours. Since this is a flipped classroom course, students will view the lectures and read the assigned reading before the classroom time together to prepare for in-class discussion. Excuse me. So what that means is Lewis and I will not be giving our lectures during the class session. Instead, you will watch our lectures online as videos, as online videos before you come to class. So please watch those video lectures before you come to class, and then during class, we will have discussion questions about these video lectures. You will use a video watch log, which is available on Populi and is due on November the 8th to keep track of your progress in watching the in-class preparation videos. Watching these videos on time, meaning before the corresponding class connection time, will earn you full credit, that is 2 points. While watching them in part or after the relevant class connection time will earn you half credit, that is 1 point. Not watching them at all will earn you no credit, 0 points. So please be sure to watch the video lectures before you come to class. So that's the second learning task, watching the video lectures. The third learning task is class participation. Students will be evaluated each week for both the quality and quantity of their contribution to the course discussion times. This will be challenging for some students who may be shy to share, who come from a context where student sharing is not encouraged, or who do not have confidence in their English ability to share. However, not sharing in class is considered not participating in class. So it is necessary, for the sake of your grade, that you overcome whatever fear you may have of actively participating in class discussion. Furthermore, this is a course in which covers worldviews and ethics. So it is easy in this course for students to give my personal view answer that in no way relates to the readings and video lectures. Students are expected to interact with the readings and lectures in their contribution. So this means that while you may express your own ideas, the ideas that you express need to be connected or show evidence that you have read the reading assignment and watched the video lectures for that particular classroom discussion. In addition, students are free and encouraged to disagree with instructors and classmates in this course, but the disagreement must still demonstrate engagement with the course material. Debate and discussion are expected to be done in a winsome way that reflects Christian characters. Therefore, students will be graded as follows for class discussion. The student does not contribute at all to the class discussion. That will be given 0 points. The student contributes to class discussion, but does not demonstrate a clear understanding of and engagement with the synchronous readings and video lectures. That student will be given 3 points. The student contributes to class discussion and demonstrates a clear understanding of and engagement with the synchronous readings and video lectures. That student will be given 5 points. So I hope you see that it is to your advantage to discuss in class. Even if you don't have a complete understanding of what's being discussed, you will still at least get 3 points. But if you do show that you have a pretty clear idea of what was discussed, even if you don't have a complete understanding of what was discussed, you'll be able to earn 5 points, okay? Because we're looking for evidence that you have read the assignment, that you have watched the video lectures, and that you are engaging with what's being taught. That's what we're looking for. So your fourth learning task is non-biblical worldview presentation. And this should take about 10 hours during the entire course. This project is due on August 21st. In assigned groups, students will present to the class in 10 minutes maximum the dominant non-biblical worldview in a particular Asian ministry context. For example, Islam, Hinduism, animism, Confucianism, modernity, postmodernity, etc. The presentation must clearly and accurately answer the following 5 questions. 1, creation. How does this worldview suggest that the world came into existence? How does this compare with the Bible's view of the world's existence? 2, purpose. How does the worldview define the purpose of a person's existence? How does this compare with the Bible's view of the purpose for our existence? Number 3, problem. How does this worldview define the biggest problem in the world? How does this compare with the Bible's view of the purpose for our existence? Number 4, solution. How does this worldview suggest that this biggest problem is solved? How does this compare with the Bible's view of how this problem is solved? And number 5, destination. Where does this worldview think that the world is ultimately going? What is the view of time? And when is the end point of the world? How does this compare with the Bible's view of time and where the world is going? To prepare for the presentation, the group must not only research the assigned non-biblical worldview, it must also find and interview, using a modified version of the 5 aforementioned questions, at least 3 people who claim to be adherents of the worldview they are researching. As a result of your interviews and research, try to include some reflections on the ways in which the people you interviewed both confirmed and differed in their answers from the formal research you did on the worldview. We will try our best to take into consideration students' ministry contacts and assign groups according to contact, but we cannot promise that the course makeup will allow for this. Groups will be assigned on the first day of class, that is on July 17th. These presentations will take place on August 21st, meaning that students will need to begin meeting in their groups to research and interview adherents of their assigned worldviews very early in the class. The PowerPoint for this presentation is due before class time on August 21st, along with copies of all interviews taken, as well as a list of resources used to prepare for the presentation. Please turn all of these materials into Populi. A grading rubric for this presentation, along with a 7-question survey to be used for the interviews, is available on Populi. Let's look at your fifth learning task, ethical issue presentation. This is due on either October 23rd or 30th. And this project should take about 15 minutes total. I mean, not 15 minutes, but 15 hours total. Okay. So students will work in groups to give a 15-minute final presentation to the class on an ethical issue of particular importance to their future ministry context. To help give ideas for the presentation topic, an Appendix A is provided at the end of this syllabus, which highlights some of the major ethical issues being faced in Asia today. This presentation will need to demonstrate mastery of the following. 1, comparing the differences in ethical foundation between a biblical worldview and the non-Christian worldview of the student future ministry context. 2, using the biblical decision-making process given in class to draw conclusions about the ethical topic chosen. The presentation will do this by answering the following questions. 1, what is the usual, that is, non-biblical view of the ethical issue in the student ministry context? 2, what are the characteristics of the non-biblical worldview that lead to non-biblical conclusions about the ethical issue? 3, how does a biblical worldview give a foundation for answering this ethical issue? Number 4, how does the biblical decision-making model given in the course help the student to draw conclusions about the ethical issue? This project will be completed in groups that will be assigned on the first day of class. You will work on the project as groups throughout the semester. The first 6 weeks of the course should help you to answer questions 2 and 3, while the second 6 weeks of the course will help you with 1 and 4. To prepare for the presentation, the group must not only research the assigned ethical issue, it must also find and interview using the 6-question moral perspective survey provided on Populi, at least 5 people who claim to be adherents of the worldview they presented in the first presentation on a non-biblical worldview. As a result of your interviews and research, try to include some reflections on the ways in which the people you interviewed reflect their worldview by the way they think about and approach ethics in general and the ethical issue in particular. Are they consistent, or do they borrow their thinking from other worldviews and ideas? The schedule of due date for this presentation is as follows. 17th of July, groups are assigned. 28th of August, groups to propose ethical issue to course facilitators. 29th of August, facilitators will either accept, reject, or revise the proposed issue. 4th of September, if initial issue is rejected, groups to propose second ethical issue to facilitator. 5th of September, facilitators will either accept the second proposed issue or assign an issue to the group. 23rd of October, the first half of groups will present their ethical issue, and the 30th of October, the second half of the group will present their ethical issue. The PowerPoint for this presentation is due before the class time on the assigned day of the presentation, along with copies of all interviews taken, as well as a list of resources used to prepare for the presentation. please turn all of these materials into Populi. A grading rubric for this presentation, along with a 6-question survey to be used for the interviews, is available on Populi. And then the final learning task you have is an ethical worldview declaration project. This should take about 2 hours. And this project is due on November 15th. As a way to tie together and communicate what you have learned or relearned and intend to apply in this course, we want you to prayerfully and thoughtfully create an ethical worldview declaration project that seeks to incorporate all of the basic elements. For example, evaluative, affective, cognitive, behavioral, and narrative aspects of an ethically Christian worldview that is grounded within the concrete context in which you live and minister. Please note that this is not a research paper. The purpose of this project is to help you to honestly examine and identify the things you truly believe, value, are excited by, consider right and wrong, and actually live out in your daily life. For example, try to answer questions like, what do I consider right and wrong? What stories do I consider most important to tell? What do I consider to be really real? What do I spend most of my time thinking about? What do I care about and genuinely value the most? And what activities do I regularly practice? And why, as a Christian, in my contemporary cultural context? The actual format is largely up to you, but try and speak from the heart and be creative and instructive in how you communicate the way you view and engage with the world around you. As such, your declaration can be a simple statement of how you actually live, what you believe, truly value, and consider morally important. But it can also take the form of a story, a poem, a song, a work of art, a video clip, etc., so long as it meaningfully communicates these aforementioned things. In general, the project should be as long as necessary for you to adequately explain to someone else what you, as a believer in Jesus, believe, value, are genuinely passionate about, and think is right and wrong. It may help you to look back over each of the course of the class session as a review to get some ideas about what to share in this declaration. As a basic guide, if you choose to do a more standard declaration versus an artistic one, I would suggest that you should write at least 2 pages of material, double-spaced, using normal size 12-point font. You can certainly write more than this and are encouraged to do so, but to go into enough depth and provide sufficient clarity, 3 pages is the bare minimum. If you choose to do a work of art or something similar, please include some sort of explanation of the meaning of the work, why you created it to include the elements that you did, and how much time it took to produce. This project will be worth a maximum of 15 points and will be graded in conjunction with the relevant rubric uploaded to the course lessons tab in Populi using the following point total and grading factors. Basic on-time completion of the assignment, 1 possible point. Language and style, 2 possible points. Integration and engagement with course material, 4 possible points. Creativity, 3 possible points. Depth and thoughtfulness, 3 possible points. Overall content quality and impact, 2 possible points. Please note, these criteria may be adjusted depending on the type of project you create. Also, if you do an especially good job on this assignment, it might be used as an artifact in your final year summative project. So it is to your advantage to seek to do an excellent job on this declaration. So now you can see a summary of how much time each of these learning tasks will take. And then we have a section on course grading. So you can see a listing of the learning tasks, each of the learning tasks, the possible points for each learning task, the grade percentage for each learning task, and the due date for each learning task. We also have a listing of the course grading skill, including the final letter grade that is assigned to each of these points. Next, we have a section that lists the course schedule and learning activities. So please note, this syllabus, along with course assignments and due dates, are subject to change. It is the student's responsibility to check Populi for any corrections and/or updates to the syllabus. Any changes will be clearly explained in a course announcement as well as through email. So what you need to know is Lewis and I will do our part to communicate any changes in class times or anything else that you need to know to you. But it is also your responsibility to check Populi to see and to check your student email to see if there are any changes. So please do your part. Please also note this information about class connection time, courtesy, and netiquette guidelines. We live in a world full of distractions, and there are many demands upon us both as students and as Christian workers. In our busy lives, it is very tempting to try to multitask in an attempt to maximize our time. However, out of respect for the instructor and your fellow learners, please refrain from texting, reading text messages, playing games, making calls, and/or answering your phone during any online or class connection time. Doing any of these aforementioned things is inconsiderate to the classroom community, detrimental to your personal learning opportunities, and dishonoring to God. Now, let me just say that sometimes emergencies do come up. So, for example, if you're in the middle of class and you receive a message on your phone about some family emergency or some other emergency, and you need to answer the phone at that moment, or you need to answer that text, then I encourage you to take the phone outside of the classroom and take the phone call in the hallway, or take the text or respond to the text message in the hallway. That way you can respond to that emergency without disrupting the class. So if you do have an emergency, please answer your emergency phone call or your emergency text outside of the classroom. That will be greatly appreciated. Now I want to talk a little bit about class connection times, courtesy, and netiquette guidelines. Okay, Because this course is fully online, netiquette is a set of rules for behaving properly online. To foster a safe and respectful online learning environment, as well as a safe and respectful classroom environment, you are encouraged to comment, question, or critique an idea, but you are not invited to attack an individual. In other words, it's okay to criticize an idea or some action, but you should never attack a person, okay? So that's the distinction I want you to keep in mind. The following netiquette tips will enhance the learning experience for everyone in the course. Do not dominate any discussion. Give other students the opportunity to join in the discussion. Do not use inflammatory language. Present your ideas appropriately. Share tips with other students. Keep an open mind and be willing to express even your minority opinion. Minority opinions should also be respected and taken seriously. Do not hesitate to ask for feedback. Using appropriate humor is acceptable. Let me just make a quick note on the policy of our policy, Lewis and my policy, on the use of GAI. This is generative artificial intelligence. Any use of generative artificial intelligence, GAI resources, and website for this class is prohibited. If you have any questions about what constitutes use of GAI, please do not hesitate to ask the course facilitators for further clarification of this policy. Please note, unless otherwise noted, synchronous learning sessions meet every Wednesday from 9 to 10 a.m. online and in room 305 of East Mission Hub. Please also note, if you wish and can stay longer, after a short break, Lewis and I will be available until 11 o'clock a.m. to answer additional questions and further interact with the session material. But you do need to attend the first hour of the synchronous session. In other words, you are required to attend the first hour of our classroom session. If you want to stay an extra hour after that first hour is over, you may. But if you are unable to attend, or if you have other things you need to do, then you are not required to attend that second hour. That second hour is completely optional. So I want to make that very clear, okay? The first hour is required. The second hour is completely optional. Okay, now we have the class schedule is listed here. So this table is your classroom schedule, your class schedule. So on this chart, on this table, we have class dates, class sessions. The date for the class sessions are listed. The focus for each class session is listed. We list the activities you need to do before you come to that class session. Also listed are the activities we will do during the class, as well as the learning tasks and due dates for those learning tasks. So please make sure you refer to this chart throughout the semester. So if you have any questions about what your reading assignments are, or what learning tasks are due and when they are due, please do not hesitate to refer to this class schedule. Now, so we have 14 class sessions, which will end on October 30th. Then we have your reading report and video watch log are due on November the 8th. And then your ethical worldview declaration project is due on November 15th. Please note that you have no final exam. So that's why we have the other learning tasks. Please, here are some important things to note about course policies. Please click here to access the course policy document for important and essential information on the following: course policies on class attendance, assignments, plagiarism, and proper use of course material, course resources provided by the instructors, mutual commitments between instructors and students, and technical assistance for Populi. This is the East Learning Management System, the Digital Theological Library, which is only for credit students, and the Logos Bible software, which is only for program students. So all students are to access and read this document before the start of the course and to abide by the stated policy. So please read this document before our first class session. And now this next section lists some additional learning resources. And so the following is a list of resources for further resource and growth in your understanding of various worldviews, as well as historical and contemporary ethical theories and issues. Please note, not all of these resources come from a conservative and/or Christian perspective, so use them with discernment. So, as you can see, we have put together a lot of different resources that you can use. And as you look at these resources, this can be a very good place to start on your research, different research projects. So please don't hesitate to come here as your first stop in looking for possible resources for your various projects. So these are the different resources that are available. And then this is Appendix A, which lists some ethical challenges in the contemporary context. So please note, the following list of ethical issues is highly incomplete. If there is an issue that you would like to explore and present that is not included here to the class, that is not included here, you may propose it to the course facilitator for approval. So these have been organized into different categories. So you have end of life and matters of life and death, reproductive technologies, body and self-care, traditional practices, treatments, and medicine, sexual ethics, globalization, technology, and ecology, social justice, inequality, and economics, and pluralism and religious plurality. So again, all of the topics here are not exhaustive. If you can think of another ethical issue that you really want to explore, please talk to either Lewis or myself, and we can to get our approval for that. So this finishes the syllabus, the review of the introduction to the syllabus for this course. So please take the time to read this syllabus in greater detail, especially the sections that I did not cover. And if you have any questions about anything on this syllabus, I suggest you do two things. First, reread that section. Read it carefully, because if you reread it, that might answer your question right there. But if you still do not understand or have a question, then the second thing you can do is you can talk to Lewis or myself at any time to clarify any questions you might have about anything on this syllabus. So thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and Lewis and I look forward to seeing you in class this semester.